Hello. I got some more of my thoughts down on paper I'd like to share with you. I like trying to define certain words. By define, I do not mean to come up with a meaning someone else has ascribed to a word. I specifically mean, what does the word mean to me? A simple word like truth should be easy to define. Do I first need to classify the word into two separate definitions, labeled absolute truth and relative truth? I do not really think so, for the simple word truth to me implies absolute truth, by its singularity and simplicity. However, I can only speak for myself in regards to that last statement, so that statement itself seems to be relatively true. Worked myself into a little bind there, didn't I? So in my mind there exists an idea of truth in the absolute sense, but there is also the idea that I am not the final authority on what that truth is. That second idea says yes, we do need two categories to define truth. Man, this is ridiculous. I mean, what am I saying? Two categories for truth? The very concept of the word negates the need for sub-truths. Now I'm wondering, have I ever experienced absolute truth? And is it necessary to have everyone agree on something for it to be true? Or exactly who is going to decide? Until someone convinces me otherwise, I'm going to say that I have experienced truth in simple mathematics. Statements like 1 plus 1 equals 2 seem to be irrefutable. But then that just makes me wonder, is that what truth is? Something that is irrefutable? I don't really think that's right, because I can say things like, all of reality exists because I am conscious of it and perceive it to be, which on the surface appears to be crazy and wrong. I know it's crazy and wrong, I know, but it is irrefutable. No one can show me that I am wrong, at least not in this reality. Well, maybe 1 plus 1 is 2 is true just because it is true. This would be the easy answer for me if I had not read that time, as predicted in the theory of relativity and as observed through experimentation, is not absolute and actually speeds up or slows down relative to its position in space. Ideas like this one, and the idea that space is not absolute, make me wonder if 1 plus 1 equals 2 would be true near a black hole, or at the moment before the Big Bang. And yes, I realize there could be no actual moment before the Big Bang, which would have marked the beginning of time. I also realize that there is a real problem with the infinite density at the core of the Big Bang theory, but that is another subject. I kind of messed up the simple mathematics deal for myself there, didn't I? I am now thinking about when I was a child and realizing that I expected the true answer when I asked a question, although I was unconscious of this expectation. In fact, I can still remember the feeling I got when I realized that my parents had told me something that was not true. I think betrayal would be the most accurate descriptive. Before that, before that time, I unconsciously assumed they were telling the truth. So it seems to me that this expecting to know the truth is sort of our default setting. I never questioned truth until I knew lying. But now that I am aware of truth and falsity, the nature of absolute truth seems to slip away from me. What people are constantly debating is the question, what is the truth about where humans come from? And from that question, what is the truth? Does God exist or not? I can't prove either answer to that question. But I can say that the answer that you decide to believe to be true will directly affect what you perceive to be the truth about every idea that comes to your mind. Without the foundation of some belief system, all our reasoning will be circular and we can know nothing. You either decide to believe there is or is no creator, and everything else you think will be seen through that frame of reference. With that said, I guess everything we think about truth is relative to what we believe. So again, I ask, why do we even have a notion of absolute truth? You know, I am thinking this wondering about the nature of truth is not a new thing. I have never heard anyone mention the philosophy of Pontius Pilate, but he must have been down the same mental road we have just been on. Because when Jesus said to him, "For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. And every one who is of the truth listens to my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" To me, one of the most amazing things Jesus said was, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Statements like this should have put a stop to people saying Jesus was a great teacher or prophet if they do not believe Jesus is our Creator. A statement like this could only have been made by a lunatic or God incarnate. There is no third option. If you are a Christian, it has to be encouraging. If you do not believe Jesus is God, you have to wonder, how did the lunatic know to say something like this? I mean, you can kind of understand Pontius Pilate contemplating the nature of truth. He was an affluent leader in a great empire. He would have had an education and access to written works of philosophers of his time and before. Jesus, on the other hand, was born in a barn, would not have had much of an education or access to many, if any, books, worked a construction job, and had been a homeless preacher for the 3 years prior to the conversation in which he made this statement. Even if a person wanted to believe that the apostles made up the whole story of Jesus and his sayings, they would have to wonder how John the fisherman knew to include a line like this in his tale. Even if a person wanted to believe that someone else made up and wrote the whole Bible, they would have to wonder why the author, even if we assume the author to have been a great philosopher, would include a line like that would be so divisive. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, you can't prove whether or not there's a God, and you can't prove what the truth is to anybody. You just have to believe. You've got to decide what you believe, and then everything else that comes into your mind will be altered by that belief and influenced by it. There's no way of getting around it. We're here in this time and space, in my opinion, to decide what we believe. If there is no God, it doesn't matter what we believe, and there doesn't matter what we think the truth is. Everything is meaningless. But according to the Christian worldview, that's exactly what we're here for, to decide what we believe and decide whether or not we want to be God or we want to serve a God. Thank you.